What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nasha, welcome back to the channel. Now, normally I would do a Yu-Gi-Oh news video, but unfortunately there is literally nothing to talk about. So, I'm going with the second best thing going, and that is a deck profile, but this time is an updated Earthbound Immortal deck profile. So I had to rethink the deck, because in the last build I ran one of pretty much every single danger you could think of. I decided to give this deck a bit of a revamp. So obviously it's the same style, but it's just a tad bit different. It's a tad bit different. The extra deck is a little bit different. I did cut out a few other things, because if you guys remember the last Earthbound Immortal deck profile, it just wasn't up to par. It just wasn't up to par. I said to myself, you know what? We gotta give this deck a complete revamp. So that is exactly what I did with this deck, and hopefully you guys enjoy this deck profile. I will be posting this on my Instagram. So if you guys have not followed me on Instagram, make sure you guys follow me there. The link is in the description, as are the links to my Twitter, which are also in the description as well. And hopefully you guys do enjoy this deck profile. If you do, and you guys want to see more, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me, you guys want me to open it up on the channel, the info will also be in the description as well. Anyway guys, let's get straight into it. First up, we have one of the first 6 Earthbound Immortals. So we have Uru, Kokapakapu, Chakachalua, Kusalu, Kokaraya, and Asilapisku. Each of these has the same effect where it reads, there can only be one Earthbound Immortal monster on the field. If there is no face-up field spell on the field, destroy this card. And I believe they all have the same effect, is that this card can attack your opponent directly. But each of these has their own effect. I do have the 7th Earthbound Immortal in the side deck, which is Ryokocha, but his effects are a little bit are kind of unique, I'll say. They're a little unique. So Uru's effect says once per turn you contribute one other monster, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of that target until the end phase. So with Uru, it acts as sort of like a snatch steal. This would be perfect to go into your link plays, such as such as your IP, your nightmares, even also or if you have a rank 8 Xyz that like I do, you can go into a rank 8 depending on what the materials is required for that Xyz monster. So this card, Uru, absolutely incredible. It's basically a snatch steal. It's really cool. Then we have Kokapakapu. This card is actually kind of a weird one, because this card can deal double damage. So the effect reads, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to destroy monster's original attack. So what's cool about this is that even if your opponent's monster was in defense, it wouldn't matter. They're still taking damage, which is just absolutely insane. And speaking of damage, Chakachalua, his effect reads, once per turn you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half this card's defense on the field. This card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. While this card is in defense position, your opponent cannot conduct their battle phase. So not only is this a burn card, but it's also a control card. So all you do is just switch it into defense, and you're pretty much just good to go. With a card like this, there's hardly any there's hardly any card that can out Chalua. If your opponent has no outs to Chalua, you essentially just win. You essentially just win the duel. All you do is just keep burning your opponent for 1200. So let's see. 8,000 minus 12. Let's see. So you would be burning your opponent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. This would put that means your opponent would be on a 7-turn clock with Chalua on board. And again, if your opponent has no outs to Chalua, you essentially just win easily. It's just that insane. Then of course we have Kusalu, which is actually kind of an interesting one. So the effect reads: if this card would be destroyed by battle, you contribute one other monster instead, and if you do, have your opponent's life points. So as long as you have monsters on board, like say tokens or whatever, this card will just remain on the field no matter what. But if you don't have any monsters on board, it will get destroyed. That's like the only downside with. Kusalu, but as long as you're able to have monsters on board, you're pretty much just good to go there. And plus, it's a 2800 B6, so it's not too bad. Now for Kokaraya. Kokaraya's effect is actually kind of a cool one. It's kind of a cool one. If this card is destroyed by a card effect, except by its own effect, destroy all cards on the field. So this is basically a dark hole heavy storm, basically. That's all I can say about that. Now, Asilapiscu, on the other hand, is actually kind of a weird one. It's pretty weird, but its effect is so insane. When this face-up card leaves the field, except by its own effect, destroy as many face-up monsters your board controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So if this card were to be sent to the graveyard or banished or whatever, your opponent will have no board, and they would lose a pretty decent amount of life points, which is really insane. Obviously, and then of course I will talk about Ryokocha Raska, because Raska is actually kind of a cool one. I have to admit. So Raska's effect reads: if this card is normal summon, target 1 to 3 of the cards you control, but no more than your opponent has in their hand. Shuffle them into the deck, then discard the same number of random cards from your opponent's hand, or as many cards as possible. If you do, this card gains 1,000 attack for each card discarded by this effect. So it'll basically go up to 3,100, basically, which is not too bad. It's not too bad. The only downside is that by using a card like, say, Called By, obviously one of those cards will get banished, but also Raska will only get like 2k attack or something like that, which is not too bad, but still it's not that great, to be honest. But that's it for the Earthbound Immortals. Now on to the rest of the monster lineup. First up, we have the one Earthbound Great Linewalker. This card is actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad, and the reason why I say that it's not that bad, it's because of the fact that the card is just pretty crazy, I will admit. So So its effect reads, if I can, okay, here we go. So its effect reads, if you control a single monster or monsters and have a single monster or monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can add one Earthbound Immortal from your deck or grave to your hand. If an Earthbound Immortal is normal summon while this monster is on the field, you can make your opponent's life points 3,000. You can only use each effect once per turn. This card basically just ensures that your opponent will have, like... This card will basically just ensure that your opponent's life points are 3,000 and you can attack for game, which is just... Excuse me, which is... pretty insane, I have to admit. It's pretty crazy, I will admit. And then of course we do have some level 5 monsters. First up, we have Ascator Dawnwalker, Supe Duskwalker, and Oracle of the Sun. You're wondering, what do these cards do? Ascator Dawnwalker's effect reads, you can discard one card, special summon this card from your hand in defense. Then you can special summon one Fire Ant Ascator from your hand or deck. You cannot special summon monster from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except Synchros. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, Supe has the same effect, but you get to summon Supe instead, which is pretty cool. So, obviously, this helps you go into your synchro plays. It helps you go into Sun Dragon Inti, Moon Dragon Quila. It can even also help you go into cards like Eve Dawn Dragster, or pretty much any other synchro that you may have, which is really good. And then Oracle of the Sun is mainly here, is mainly in this deck mainly as a way to help further not only help further your link plays, but also to help you further your synchro plays as well. So if you have this on board, and we'll say this next card that I'm going to talk about, Earthbound Linewalker, and we'll say unknown, Supe or Unknown Synchron, you can tune all three of them into Allied Justice Decisive Armor, which a card like that works against the light, pretty much any light deck out there, Drytron of course, but again, Oracle of the Sun is there mainly for that reason, but also too, I actually have a couple of Xyz monsters in the side, or actually rather, I have only one in the side. I didn't realize that. I only have one in the side that works with these three monsters. No spoilers. You'll find out once we get to the extra deck. So that's pretty much it for the 5 stars. Now for the rest of the monsters, we have 2 copies of Earthbound Linewalker. This is basically a protection for your Earthbound Immortal. So all its effect says is Earthbound Immortal monsters cannot be destroyed by their own effects. So as long as you have this, none of your Earthbound Immortals will be able to be destroyed. So if you don't have Earthbound Jigglyph in your field zone, but you have Linewalker on board, you can actually keep your Earthbound Immortal on board without the field spell, which is pretty cool. And then of course we got the 2 Fire Ant, the 2 Fire Ant Ascator, the 2 Supe, and then the 1 Unknown Synchron, mainly for your synchro plays. Now for the dangers, this will actually wrap up the monster lineup. We have 2 copies of Bigfoot, 2 Thunderbird, and 2 Mothman. Bigfoot focuses on popping one of your opponent's face-up cards, which could be a back row, could be a monster, could be literally anything. Thunderbird focuses on cards that are set, and then Mothman basically acts as a Dark World Dealing. So both you and your opponent get to draw 1 card, but you have to discard 1 card. So it basically is a Dark World Dealings for the deck, which these are the only dangers you need. In the last build I did run a lot on the other dangers, but I realized these dangers are so much better because you're popping back row, you're popping monsters, you're you're forcing your opponent to discard their hand, which is absolutely insane. Moving on into the spells, it's a pretty hefty lineup. We have 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. It's a pot of greed. Not much else to say about that. We have 2 Earthbound Revival. This card is basically Monster Reborn. This card is basically a monster reincarnation for the Earthbound Immortal. So it reads: discard 1 card that target an Earthbound Immortal monster and a field spell in your grave. Add those targets to your hand. So if you have Geoglyph and we'll say Chakachalua in your grave, you can discard, I'll say, a Mothman, add Chakachalua and Geoglyph back to your hand, activate the Geoglyph, tribute one of your synchro monsters, summon Chakachalua in defense, and you pretty much just have your game right there, easily, absolutely easy. It's just GG. We have 2 copies. Then we have 2 copies of Pot of Avarice. This is mainly in here, mainly to reset your main deck. So if you wanna resummon, like we'll say Uru or Asilipiscu, you could add monsters like them back into your deck, and you get to draw 2. So we'll say let's say for example your 2 were to be, I'll say Dawnwalker and Linewalker. Let's say that. Earthbound Linewalker and Asgator Dawnwalker. Let's say that. You could discard, we'll say a Danger, special summon the Dawnwalker, special summon the Asgator off of the effect, normal summon the Earthbound Linewalker, tune the, and then you can do one of 2 things. You can either A, tune Dawnwalker and Asgator into a level 8 synchro, and then tribute it off for a Earthbound Immortal, or you can tune all 3 together for a Decisive Armor. In which case, if you have a Earthbound Immortal in your hand, you can activate one of Decisive Armor's effects, and then tribute it off for an Earthbound Immortal, which isn't too bad. So obviously the possibilities are endless, but Pot of Avarice definitely a must-have in this deck. And then of course we've got Terraforming, the one Terraforming, obviously to search out the Earthbound Geoglyph. Monster Reborn, mainly to resummon cards like Oracle of the Sun and Earthbound Lightwalker. You actually cannot. I actually did a bit of a test run with this deck. You cannot use Monster Reborn on an Earthbound Immortal from what I've seen. So it's unfortunate, but still, it's a great way to resummon your Oracle of the Sun to go into your synchro plays, or even your link plays if need be. Then of course we've got the one Earthbound Whirlwind. This is basically Harpy's Feather Duster for the deck, which is really good. And then we got the 2 Synchronized Realm. I had this at 1 last time, but I realized this card is just way too good. So its effect reads: each time you synchro summon a synchro monster, it'll inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So if you have 2 on field, that would literally be up to 7,000 damage to the face. Literally, so the possibilities are endless with this card. It's just absolutely insane. And then of course we've got the 3 Earthbound Geoglyph. This card basically helps you treat your synchros as 2 tributes for your Earthbound Immortals, which is really good. And then for the traps, we got the 1 Roar of the Earthbound. This card is actually kind of a weird one. So its effect reads: once per turn, if an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, destroy that target. If you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the destroyed monster's attack. You must control an Earthbound Immortal with attack higher than the attack of the attacking monster to activate and resolve the effect. So obviously you gotta obviously the attack has to be higher than than any of your Earthbound Immortal, so it has to be at least 26 or higher. Excuse me. But still, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Then, of course, we have Ultimate Earthbound Immortal. This card is kind of an interesting one. If a normal summoned or set Earthbound Immortal monster is on the field, you can target a face-up monster on the field and destroy it. So obviously, it does pop your opponent's board for the most part. But if you're able to establish your synchro plays and go into your Earthbound Immortals, that's not too bad. Not too bad. And then to round up the main deck, we have 2 copies of Earthbound Wave. This is basically Solemn Judgment for the deck. So the effect reads: when your opponent activates a spell or trap while you control an Earthbound Immortal, negate the activation and destroy it. So again, it's a Solemn Judgment, no drawbacks, plain and simple. But moving on into the extra deck. First up, we got the Outlive Justice Decisive Armor. This card is in here mainly against the Drytron strategy, where obviously your opponent is going to have a lot of light monsters possibly in hand. So this card really come in clutch. Plus not only that, it's got 3 different effects that you can choose to activate once per turn. Select one set card your opponent controls and destroy it. Send a card from your hand to the grave to destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. Send all cards in your hand to the grave to look at your opponent's hand, and send all light monsters in their hand to the grave. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total attack of the opponent's monsters sent to the grave. However, you can only activate any of these effects if your opponent has a light monster on board. So if you're going up against Drytron and they have Herald of Ultimateness on board, you need to find a way to find a way to prevent Ultimateness from being used. So Herald of Ultimateness effect reads you can ritual summon this card with Oracle of the Herald. Must be ritual summon. When your opponent would special summon a monster or would activate a spell or trap or a monster effect, quick effect, you can send a fairy monster from your hand to the grave, negate the special summon or activation, and destroy it. You need to find a way to outmaneuver a card like, say, Herald of Ultimateness, and if you do, you're pretty much just golden from there. You're pretty much just golden there. So, but again, if you're able to find a way to outmaneuver a card like, say, Herald of Ultimateness, Decisive Armor will come in clutch big time. Then, of course, we've got the Vermilion Dragon Mech. This card is just absolutely insane. So the only tuners you have in this deck are obviously the two Ascators, the 2 Supes, and then the 1 unknown Synchron. That's why I have the Pot of Avarice in here, is because you're going to be using these tuners a whole lot to go into your synchro plays, or even your link plays for that matter. That's why I have the Pot of Avarice in here. But Dragon Mech's effect is insane. Once per turn, you can banish 1 tuner from your hand or grave, or face-up field, then target a card on the field, destroy it. If this single summon card is destroyed by a card effect, sent to the grave, you can target one of your banished tuners, add it to your hand. So obviously, it acts as like another, like, it acts as sort of like another tuner for the deck itself, which is really good. And then, of course, we got the Sun Dragon Inti and the Moon Dragon Quila. Obviously, it's it's an Earthbound Immortal deck. You gotta run these cards. So if you guys have never seen any of these cards before, I believe these were released in, what was it, Ancient Prophecy? Back in like 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. So with Inti, you need to have Fire Ant, Oscator, and of course Moondragon Quila. You gotta have Supay. Sundragon Inti's effect reads: if this card is destroyed by battle sent to the grave, destroy the monster that destroyed this card. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of the monster had on the field. Once returned during the standby phase of the next turn, after this card on the field was destroyed, you can target Moondragon Quia in your grave and special summon it. Now, Moondragon Quia has the effect where it says if this card is targeted for an attack, gain life points equal to half the attacking monster's attack. If this card on the field is destroyed, you can target one Sundragon Inti in your grave and special summon it. So they can basically just summon, just resummon one another. So it acts as like 2 additional monster reborns, which is really good. And then of course we got the board load Savage Dragon because of the fact that you have a bunch of links in the action act. Board load Savage Dragon will come in clutch. This card is just basically an Omni Negate, which is just absolutely insane. And then of course we got the Sign Frame Lord Omega because that I have the two Allure of Darkness on the field, not on the field, in the deck, you're going to be doing quite a bit of banishing, and Omega just basically just sends your card back into your graveyard so you can use the effects over and over again. And if you were to pair the Omega with a Vermilion Dragon mech, standby phase, you could just reset each turn, and it acts as sort of like sort of like an infinite loop where you're only going to be banishing one tuner monster and sending that same tuner monster back into the graveyard off of the effects of Sign Frame Lord Omega, which is incredible. And then to round out the synchros, we got the FA Dawn Dragster as a really nice amount of negation for the card. I actually want to look on Nexus because I'm actually on there. Big shout outs to the developers. I want to see if, let's see, I want to see if there was like a way that you could gain levels or something. I guess not. I guess not. Okay, never mind. I thought there was a way, but I guess not. Anyway, again, Dawn Dragster, excellent. And plus, not only that, the less levels you have, the more chances you'll have to go into your Vermilion Dragon mech if you want to go into it, which is hilarious. And then for the rank 8, because that you have the Greater Line Walker, and you've got the 2 Bigfoot and then the 2 Thunderbird, you can easily go into a card that is it's basically another version of Harpy's Feather Duster, which is pretty insane. It is known as Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. If you guys have never seen this card before, it's actually, oh, it's a 10. Never mind. Oh wait. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. Oh, I'm so stupid. Guys, I'm so sorry. I need to replace it. What can I replace it with? I am so stupid, guys. I am so sorry. I need to replace it. Okay, so let's go Monster cards, level, we'll go 8, because you're going to be category exceeds. And then for the card pool, we'll go U, and then we'll go all. I think the better card for this deck, I think would probably have to be I think probably I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one. I thought that I could do Super Dimensional Galaxy Destroyer, but I realized it's a rank 10 and it acts as a Harpy's Feather Duster, so I need to replace it really quickly. I think I'm going to do let's see. I think, yeah, I think this might be the perfect one. So I'm going to take out the Destroyer, and I'm actually going to put in number 23, Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. And the reason why I'm choosing to run him is because of the fact that its effect is actually not too bad. Its effect is not too bad. This time I checked, it is a rank 8, but Lancelot's effect reads, this card can attack your opponent directly while it has Exceeds material. When this card inflicts balance damage to your opponent, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when a spell, trap, or another monster effect is activated, detach a material and negate the activation. So this basically acts as another like Solemn Judgment for the deck. Plus, given the fact that it can attack your opponent directly, it acts as sort of like an 8th Earthbound Immortal, which is really good. And then for the Link monsters, we got the Crusadia Avermax. Only if you have established your board with with your links and your synchros and whatnot, and your opponent activated a card that just negates all of your monsters during your turn, then Avermax will come in clutch, because by sending all those monsters to the grave to resummon, to summon out this card, you can then activate Monster Reborn, resummon one of your synchros, activate Pot of Avarice, send them back into your extra deck, and then you can actually activate Pot of Avarice again, because of the fact that Avarice is not a once per turn. It is not a once per turn. So you can then target your tuners, put them back into your deck, and you basically get 4 cards drawn out of your deck, which one of them could be a tuner for all we know, and then you can reestablish your board like that, and that way your opponent won't be able to play any form of Yu-Gi-Oh if need be. But still, again, that's the only reason why I've got the Avermax in here. This is also a alternate condition, an alternate win condition for what is it, for Axis Code. So if you don't have a copy of Axis Code Talker, Avermax is the next best thing. And then for the Nightmares, we got the 1 Griffin, the 1 Phoenix, the 1 Unicorn, and the 1 Cerberus. Griffin allows you to set spells or traps from your grave on back onto your field. Unicorn just sets your opponent back a singular turn, which is pretty cool. Phoenix pops back row. Cerberus pops special summon monsters, which is really good. And then for the rest of the links, we got the 1 Decode Talker and the 1 IP Masquerena. Not much else to say about them. Now for the side deck, again, we do have the Rear Culture Raska. I already talked about him earlier in the video if you guys want to go back and watch it. We've got the 2 Ash Blossom and the 2 Ghost Bell. And then the 1 card for the level 5 monsters I have is number 14, Greedy Saramaya. I talked about this when I did my Dark World deck when I did my Dark World deck profiles a few months ago, but its effect reads, your opponent takes any effect damage you would have taken from their card effects instead. So that effect goes against the Exodia Mystic Mind burn decks, which is just absolutely insane. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the grave, you can detach one material from this card, destroy all monsters on the field whose current attack is less than or equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster in the grave. So again, more. It's another board wipe, and it ensures that you can try to get game on board, which is really good. And because all of the Earthbound Immortals are level 10, I am running 2 copies of Mounds of the Bound Creator as a way to not only protect, not only keep your Earthbound Immortals on board, but it also acts as a protection to keep the Immortals on board as well, which is really cool. We got the one Harpy's Feather Duster, the one Call by the Grave, and then for the traps, these are all counter traps, mind you. So we've got the one Judgment of Anubis, the 2 Solemn Warning, and the 2 Solemn Strike. These cards are just absolutely insane. Not much else to say about that, but guys, that will do it for this deck profile. Again, I will be posting it on my Instagram about a few hours after this video gets posted. So make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram. Link is in the description. And that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And again, give this video a thumbs up as well. And be sure to follow me on my social media. Links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any family you guys want to send me, you guys want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.